The comedy of two well-measured gentlemen, lost in the merry wives of Venice, on a midsummer 12th night in winter.
Or a Cymbeline tailing Pericles the merchant in The Tempest of Love as much as you like it for nothing.
Or
The Love Boat Goes to Verona.
comedy!
Comedy.
Comedy. A Spanish duke swears an oath of celibacy and turns over the rule of his kingdom to his sadistic and tyrannical twin brother. He learns some fantastical feats of magic and sets off for the golden age of Greece along with his daughters, three beautiful and virginal sets of identical twins. While rounding the heel of Italy, the duke's ship is caught in a terrible tempest, which in its fury casts the duke up on a desert isle along with the loveliest and most virginal of his daughters. This innocent vision of loveliness stumbles into a dark cave where she is molested by an inhuman green monster who represents the extreme right wing of the Republican Party.
Act 2. The long-lost children of the Duke's brother, also coincidentally 3 sets of identical twins, have just arrived in Italy. Though still possessed of an inner nobility, they are ragged, destitute, penniless, flea-infested shadows of the men they once were, and in the utmost extremity are forced to borrow money from an old Jew who deceives them to putting down their brains as collateral on the loan. Meanwhile, the 6 brothers fall in love with 6 Italian sisters, 3 of whom are contentious, sharp-tongued little shrews, while the other 3 are submissive, air-headed little bimbos.
Act 3. The shipwrecked identical daughters to the Duke wash up on the shores of Italy and disguise themselves as men and become pages to the shrews and matchmakers to the Duke's brothers' sons. They lead all the lovers into a nearby forest where on a midsummer's night, a bunch of mischievous fairies squeeze the aphrodisiac juice of a hermaphroditic flower into the shrew's eyes, causing them to fall in love with his own pages, who in turn fell in love with the Duke's brothers' sons. Meanwhile, the queen of the fairies seduces a jackass and they all have a lovely bisexual animalistic orgy.
Act 4. The elderly fathers of the Italian sisters, finding their daughters missing, dispatch messages to the pages telling them to kill any man in the vicinity.
However, unable to find any men in the forest, the faithful messengers, in a final misguided act of loyalty, deliver the messages to each other and kill themselves.
Meanwhile, the fish creature and the Duke arrive in the forest disguised as Russian, and, for no apparent reason, perform a 2-man underwater version of Uncle Vanya.
Act 5.
The Duke commands the fairies to right their wrongs.
The pages and the bimbos get into a knockdown, drag-out fight in the mud.
At which time the clothes of the pages get ripped off, revealing female genitalia.
The Duke recognizes his daughters.
The Duke's brothers' sons recognize their uncle.
And the magician turns the monster into a newt who becomes Speaker of the House.
And they all get married and go out to dinner.
Except for a minor character in the second act who gets eaten by a bear, and the Duke's brothers' sons, who, unable to pay back the old Jew, give themselves lobotomies. And they all lived happily ever after.